Joe.
Okay, Gary, from Turner Field in Atlanta, it's the Astros with former MVP Jeff Bagwell and the Braves and four-time Cy Young winner Greg Maddux in Game 1 of the National League Division Series on ESPN. A year ago, the Atlanta Braves were primed to repeat as world champions, only to see the New York Yankees dramatically come back and take the crown from them. New arrivals aid the familiar faces in this year's cause. The winningest team of the decade is focused on reclaiming the title of champion. Led by a rookie manager, the Astros are clearly underdogs. He was 13 years in a big league uniform, but Larry Dierker's only postseason experience came as a broadcaster. The Killer Bees, MVP candidates, key Houston's success. The 97 postseason, Game 1. Greg Maddux, 19-4, precise and efficient. Darryl Kile, a no-hitter to his credit, 19 wins also. The Astros are out to prove they belong. The Braves are on a mission, another ring. Welcome to playoff baseball. It is a perfect, crystal clear day in Atlanta. Welcome to Turner Field for Game 1 of the National League Division Series between the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan. Welcome to Game 1 of this division series. And certainly we've got sort of a lopsided matchup. At least that's the way it looks on paper, because the Braves won 101 games this year, the most in the majors. And the Astros with only 84 wins. That's the fewest victories of any team in the postseason. So, Joe, how could the Astros possibly beat the Braves in this best of 5?
Well, thank goodness for the Astros, they're not going to play this game on paper. So attitude becomes very important. And the Astros have a great attitude. They're coming into this thinking that they can win because they have Darryl Kile going today. They have Hampton. They have Reynolds. All these pitchers match up very well against the Atlanta Braves. And if they pitch well, they know they're staying it. And plus, they have the Killer Bees, Biggio, Bagwell, and Bell. All three of these guys are going to have a good series in order for them to win.
All right, now Greg Maddux, the great Greg Maddux, four-time Cy Young Award winner, goes for Atlanta. And Greg Maddux will sometimes be susceptible to the running game, which Houston features.
Well, Houston, in my opinion, have to be very aggressive coming out of the chute. In the first inning, if they get someone on, they have to either hit and run or straight steals. Sometimes Maddux is just kind of nonchalant about the runners at first base or second base because he's concentrating so hard on the pitchers. I think they can use this to their advantages. And by running, I think they can put a little more pressure on the defense, and I think they can hurt Maddux in that way. If they play straight up, the Braves are going to win this series.
All right. Now, also with us for this series is Kevin Kennedy, the former manager of the Red Sox, current ESPN analyst.
John, both managers have allowed their starting pitchers to have their own personal catcher today. For Atlanta, it's Eddie Perez. For Houston, it's Tony Eusebio. What Atlanta misses by doing this? Javi Lopez's bat, 23 home runs. A year ago, the NLCS MVP. For Houston, it's Brad Ausmus's ability to throw runners out. #1 in the NL, especially could contain a guy like Kenny Lofton. What they're gaining, the attitude behind the plate, their competence in game calling, the setup, and the receiving ability. This is one of the things we'll be doing today in today's spotlight.
All right, Kevin, and so the stage is set. The big crowd is gathering. Turner Field in Atlanta. Greg Maddux for the Braves against Ray Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, and the underdog, Houston Astros.
ESPN's presentation of the 1997 Division Series is brought to you by Phone Miser, the wonderful invention that slashes your phone bill up to 66%. Phone Miser. And by Joe Ball, the hottest game on earth. It's En Fuego.
John Miller and Joe Morgan on a sunshiny day in Atlanta. Larry Dierker, the 6th rookie manager in the history of Major League Baseball to win a divisional title, although it's a little bit easier today than it once was, since there are now 6 divisions in baseball, and his club did only win 84 ball games, but win it they did, and now here they are. Here's the Pepsi Astros lineup. Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell at the top. Biggio, 146 runs scored, most in the National League in 65 years. Gonzalez, Spires, and the rookie Hidalgo, and then Eusebio, Gutierrez, and Kile round out the batting order for the Houston Astros. Greg Maddux on the mound, 19-4, another incredibly outstanding year. Incredible, I guess, for anybody except for Greg Maddux.
And there you see Maddux. The one thing to notice about Maddux, is that he gets more strike calls and more hitters swinging at bad pitches than anyone else.
First ball swinging, Biggio. Here's Blauser. And he got it. Just like that, there is one away. Biggio, who usually goes very deep into the count, is gone on one pitch.
Well, let's take a look at the defense behind Maddux. Important, Lockhart at second base, and Lofton in center field. Lofton says he's healthy now, and of course, that means that he will be playing better defensively. Lockhart is taking over from Mark Lemke, one of the stars in the postseason for the last few years for the Braves. So we'll have to keep an eye on how he plays defensively.
Here is Derek Bell now. And takes a called strike. Bell, 276 for the regular season. 15 homers and 71 RBIs, and he had to come on real strong the last 6 weeks or so to get those numbers up where they are. That's a bloop, and Lofton takes it. 2 men gone, and now Jeff Bagwell comes up with the bases empty. 3 pitches so far thrown by Maddux. Jeff Bagwell, 286 average, 43 homers, and 135 runs batted in. The home run total, second in the league, only to Larry Walker of the Rockies, and the highest home run total ever by a Houston Astros slugger. So quite a year by Bagwell in what is becoming a string of outstanding years. Very unusual looking stance. That one is hit well to left field. Battling the sun, Klesko makes the catch. So it's a 4-pitch inning. Both Biggio and Bagwell go after the first pitch. So now the Braves are coming up against Kile. Bobby Cox, he's the flip side of the rookie manager, Larry Dierker. Cox has already managed some 70 playoff games, not even counting his World Series games, and he's won 38 times in the postseason as a manager. Bobby Cox, and here's his batting order. The Pepsi starting lineup for the Braves. Kenny Lofton in center field. Keith Lockhart in place of Lemke at second base. Chipper Jones, the Braves' big slugger for the year, and he has had great success in the postseason. Fred McGriff, who always seems to be in the middle of something since he came to Atlanta. Ryan Klesko at left field. Michael Tucker, the former Kansas City Royal, is in right field, batting sixth. Eddie Perez, rather than Javi Lopez, is the catcher. He always catches when Maddux pitches. Blauser, the shortstop, and Greg Maddux is on the mound. And the pitcher for Houston, their big winner for the year and an outstanding season, 19-7, Darryl Kile.
Well, the key for Kyle is if he can get ahead in the count with his fastball and get him to chase his breaking ball. He has a variety of curveball, changes speeds on him, has an excellent curveball, and that's going to be the key if he can use both sides of the plate. But if he falls behind and has to use the middle of the plate, he will be in trouble.
Kenny Lofton. And that is one of the things we'll be watching this series. Which Kenny Lofton will it be? That is a called strike. The Lofton we're used to seeing in past postseasons with the Cleveland Indians, who can dominate a game with his speed, or the Lofton who was with the Braves here most of the year. He takes the ball inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Lofton who had problems running early after coming to the National League, then injured a groin muscle and missed more than a month of time, and was not the same Kenny Lofton when he came back from that injury, not running that well. 2-1 the count to him.
And Darryl Kile is wondering which Atlanta Brave team will show up today, the one that goes for the long ball or the ones that plays little ball.
A flare into left field. That is a base hit. And Lofton's going to try for 2. And he gets 2.
Darryl Kile made up his mind he was going to throw the fastball inside to Lofton. He finally gets one for a strike, but Lofton fights it off down the left field line and gets a bloop double. And we'll get a look at the speed that Lofton shows here. He starts off slowly. Now he realizes that he's got to go a little bit. And he hustles into second with a double there, and it looks like he was running well.
So Lofton into second base. And here now is Keith Lockhart to try and get him over to third base. And of course, in the past, in his days with Cleveland, you would know that Lofton was well capable of getting himself to third base. And that's ball one.
I don't like the way the Astros are playing this defensively. First of all, Bagwell is way in at first base. He's expecting a bunt, and I don't think they're going to bunt here. Lockhart can pull the ball to the right side, and if he does, he's going to get past Bagwell pretty easily there. I mean, he's way inside the first base bag. I mean, inside the bag on the grass.
And Lockhart chasing a fastball up and away, which ordinarily is not what you expect, especially when the first baseman is, as you describe him, Joe, in so shallow. But a guy should be looking to pull the ball to the right side.
Well, he has to pull the ball because to get the runner over to third base with less than 2 outs.
One and two now to Lockhart. One ball, 2 strikes to Lockhart. Chipper Jones on deck. And there's that curveball, and not a good one. Now, Kile has a great curveball, and maybe the best in the league.
He was trying to throw that one off the corner and let it catch the outside corner, trying to get a strike out there instead of making sure that Lockhart does not pull the ball in this situation.
The power comes up next. Has the curve, and he gets that one into right field. Back tagging at second base is Lofton. Here comes the throw by Derek Bell, but Lofton is in there.
Credit there. He got the ball deep enough to the right side that Lofton could tag up and score.
1 out, runner at third base as you get a look now.
Bell does a good job of getting himself in position. He gets rid of the ball quickly, right on the money. Just the speed of Lofton gets him there in plenty of time.
And Lofton went in with kind of a late slide there. Lucky he didn't get hurt.
This is interesting that the Astros are going to play the infield back. They're in the first inning on the road. As I said before, if they play this series straight up, match up, just play normal baseball, they're going to lose to the Braves.
Chipper Jones, the hitter. The curveball misses.
Personally, I believe you're going to have to do some things. You're going to have to play like early in this ball game, like here. I would play the infield in, not concede this run. Why are you conceding a run in a playoff game when it's a short series like this? I don't think you should concede any runs in a short series like this, especially since you're going against a guy like Maddux. Make them earn all the runs they're going to get. Now, if he hits a ground ball anywhere on the infield, it's a run.
2-0 to Chipper Jones. And that's a strike. Chipper Jones in the regular season was the Atlanta leader in RBIs with 111. They're only 100 RBI man. One of 4 Braves who hit 20 home runs or more. To the inside corner, and it is 2-2 now with Fred McGriff on deck.
This is what we're talking about. If Kyle can use both sides of the plate, if he has good enough control where he can hit the inside corner, the outside corner, hit the outside 2-0 and the inside 2-1, that is the Darryl Kile that can hold these Braves in check.
Kenny Lofton at third base. And Chipper Jones fouling one off the fists. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And that's a good pitch from Kyle, because where you want to pitch Jones is above the belt and tight. He likes the ball out over the plate so he can go the other way or hit the ball to center field or even pull it. But if you stay in tight on him, you have a better chance, especially if you can get it above the belt.
Jones was at his best batting left-handed. 20 of his 21 home runs hit as a left-handed batter. And it's a full count now. 3-2. Fred McGriff, who did not have a very strong season by his standards, although he too came on much more strongly the last couple of months of the season. He's on deck. The Astros playing the infield back. The outfield straight away. Lofton at third with 1 out. That one is pulled foul down the right field line. He curved him, and Chipper Jones is out in front of it.
This is not the real good Darryl Kile curveball, and maybe he's having problems early, you know, with his rotation. You'll see his ball usually will just drop. That ball there is pretty much just a hanging breaking ball, and Chipper Jones a little bit out in front.
I saw you get real excited when you saw it kind of hang there. That is a foul off the foot of Chipper Jones. As soon as it hits the foot, it's a foul ball. 3 balls and 2 strikes the count to Chipper Jones. Well, Larry Dierker playing his infield back here. I'm wondering, Joe, if he, I mean, talking with him a little bit before the game, he and his players feel that an advantage they have in this series is that nobody expects anything from them. So they're kind of relaxed, and the Braves have all the pressure on them.
Well, there's pressure on both teams to get to the next level.
3-2. The fastball down the left field line. Gonzalez has it, and here comes Kenny Lofton. 1-0 Atlanta. And Kenny Lofton kind of takes over this first inning for the Braves, just like the old days with Cleveland.
Well, they score with only 1 base hit, and that base hit was from Kenny Lofton. And it's a good pitch in that he tries to get it inside. He doesn't quite get it there. So Chipper Jones is able to fight it off and hit a line drive to left field. And no chance to get Lofton on a play like that.
Now Fred McGriff. And that's ball 1.
Now, remember, we were here early in the season. Everyone is talking about Fred McGriff being too far from the plate. And at that time, he told me he was just spinning out, meaning pulling off the ball. Now he's using his hands more.
There's a curve, foul.
He said no one's saying he's too far off the plate anymore. He's hitting line drives to the opposite field and so forth. But it's more a matter of him using his hands. He says he stood the same place for the last 5 or 6 years, and he's been successful. But he wasn't using his hands early in the season. Now he's using his hands, and you can see he is quite a ways off the plate.
Nice pitch. 1 and 2 strikes to McGriff.
It's okay to stand off the plate as long as you don't pull away. See, he kind of dives in right there, so he's staying there. And before, he said he was diving in and then pulling off.
And the curve just off the outside. Well, McGriff beat the Giants here just 15 days ago in the 9th inning. He hit a home run against Rod Beck to win a ball game in the bottom of the 9th inning. That's what you have come to expect from McGriff. Greg Maddux, who threw only 4 pitches in the first half of the inning. He's had a long wait. McGriff with a high fly ball to left, battling the sun out there. Gonzalez. It's been real tough out there. Both he and Klesko battled on a high fly ball. So the inning is over. McGriff is retired. But the Braves, Turner Field in Atlanta. There's the panoramic view from high above this brand new ballpark. Last year it was the Olympic Stadium when the world came to Atlanta, and then they did a little redecorating afterward and turned it into the new home of the Braves. Here is Luis Gonzalez against Greg Maddux. 1 ball to no strikes. Gonzalez, 258, 10 home runs for the year. Not a whole lot of power in this Astros ball club once you get past Biggio and Bagwell. 2-0 the count. That's a foul out of play. Well, in the first inning, Greg Maddux hardly worked at all. And Darryl Kile, they made him work.
Well, I think the Astros' philosophy is to get Maddux early in the count.
Well, that's a base hit to right field for Luis Gonzalez. Just a roller where nobody was.
This is actually a pretty quick infield, though, John. He didn't hit that ball very sharply, but this infield, the ball goes through pretty quickly. But the one thing you don't want to do at Maddux is get him where he can keep you off balance, change speed. So you try to get him early in the count. And this is a changeup. It was a 2-1 changeup. You can see Gonzalez reaches out and pulls it in the hole for a base hit. And we'll see how they play it, if they hit and run, if they try straight steals. But again, if you play the Braves, the Astros play the Braves straight up for 5 games, the Braves are going to win. It's that simple. You have to try to do something different to beat these Braves.
Bill Spires, first ball swinging, fouls it away. Spires, 31-year-old veteran, formerly was with Milwaukee. It looked like he was going to be a big star for the Brewers, a left-handed batting shortstop who could hit, but then he had a lot of physical problems, some terrible back problems that limited his effectiveness. Became a journeyman for a while, and all of a sudden, this year in Houston, the more they played him, the more he hit. Kind of forced them to use him more often than maybe they had originally planned. 320 average for the year, 4 homers and 48 batted in. So you see how much better he's been this year for Houston than he had been throughout his career. So he's a platoon man right now. He's been helpful off the bench.
If you watch Maddux, he does not really take a lot of time with the runner at first base.
Well, Gonzalez is not a big base stealer, but he has some speed. He runs fairly well.
He only stole 10 bases during the season, but it's not a matter of just straight steals. You can put players in motion. You have to, in my opinion, change the Braves' makeup. They just like to pitch, catch the ball, and go in and hit. That's the way they like to play the game.
That's a double play ball. There's one. Fouls it back to first. 2. Double play. Well, so far the Astros have played it just the opposite. Played the infield back in the first inning, and now after Gonzalez gets aboard, they have a pretty good hit and run man up there in Spires.
Well, Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, all these guys know how to pitch. They keep the ball down. They're going to get the ground ball in double play situations, and their guys are going to turn it. So again, you have to try to do something to change that.
Here is Richard Hidalgo. Now this guy is a rookie who just came up in late July and did real well for them. That's a called strike. It is quickly 0-2. And Hidalgo is a guy who probably will be given every opportunity to win the center field job outright next year. He is from Venezuela. Right to Chipper Jones. Got a bad hop. Stayed with it. His throw to first is in time. McGriff had to stretch out to get it. And the Astros are gone quickly again. Ryan Klesko will be coming up. 1-0 Atlanta. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and here we are, Game 1 of the 1997 National League Division Series. And Joe, the umpires had made it known, there were some articles that they were going to have a zero-tolerance policy for the postseason. Although I know you talked to Harry Wendelstedt, as did I, before the game.
Well, Harry said they're not here looking for a problem. They're going to be very professional about their job, and they want the players to be, act the same way. So he said, really, it's not a change. Basically, it read like it was going to be a change. They were going from low tolerance to zero tolerance. But he said that's not true. And I've known Harry a long time, and when he says something, I believe him. He said this crew is going to be professional about their job, and they're not anticipating any problems, and they just think that things will work out.
Ryan Klesko leads it off for Atlanta. We go to the last of the second inning. The Braves leading 1-0. And a curveball. He launches one. That one is gone. 2-0 Atlanta. So the Atlanta power emerges on the first pitch of the second inning after Lofton and the Atlanta little ball game got it done in the first inning. Klesko always seems to hit a few homers in the postseason.
Well, we talked about the fact that he doesn't have his very good curveball yet. See, that curveball there doesn't drop as sharply as Kyle's curveball normally does.
Here's Michael Tucker. That curve, again, very high. Ball 1.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have that good curveball so far. I don't know if he's throwing it too hard at this point or what, but he doesn't have the Darryl Kile curveball that we've seen in the past.
1 ball, 1 strike to Michael Tucker. 283 for the year. He added speed to this Atlanta lineup. In fact, when the season began, it was Lofton hitting first, Tucker hitting second, and the Braves were not hitting home runs here in their new ballpark. but they were doing a lot of running. And that misses. But then Lofton, as we mentioned earlier, got hurt and was not stealing many bases. And then Tucker's average started to plummet. So their offense, the second half of the year, was more similar to what Braves fans had come to expect. Shallow left, Gutierrez. And Tucker is gone.
I would take a look at Darryl Kile's curveball, and you can see the rotation there is not straight down. He has a very good sharp break on his curveball, and this one is just not breaking much. In fact, he hasn't thrown a real good one the entire ball game, and Klesko hits that one out of the ballpark. You saw him throw a couple of Chipper Jones into McGriff, and they're not as sharp as they have been.
Here's Eddie Perez now. He takes a strike. Again with Maddux pitching, Perez is the catcher, and that means that Javi Lopez is on the bench, and he is one of the Braves' best hitters. 0-2. Perez for the year hit .215. Javi Lopez not only hit .295, but he had 23 homers, second best on the club.
Plus, he has done very well in postseason in the past few years. So it just tells you that the type of game they're trying to play today.
Jeff Bagwell and Perez is the second out.
The most important thing for Cox today is to get a well-pitched ball game from Maddux. So he's sacrificing Lopez's bat in order to have the catcher behind the plate that Maddux feels most comfortable with.
Yeah, well, if Maddux is feeling comfortable as he comes out on deck and he's pitching his game, you don't need too many, generally speaking. In fact, right now, if you're the Astros, you're in a huge hole already in this one. That's a curveball for a strike to Jeff Blauser. Blauser really rebounded this year. He had a couple of bad years, a lot of injury problems. They said that was really the main difference. Jeff Blauser was healthy this year. He is over 300 from the start of the year right up to the end. 308, 17 homers, 70 batted in. It's not a bad record for a guy hitting 8th. Center field, Hidalgo. And the inning is over. But the first pitch of the inning hit over the right field wall by Ryan Klesko. 2-0 for Maddux and the Braves after 2. 2-0 Atlanta after 2. And today's aerial photos are provided by Pennzoil Copter Cam. There's the new ballpark, Turner Field, and just up there at the top of the screen, the hole in the ground that was once Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where the Braves played their postseason games up until this year. Here we go to the third inning, and the Astros in a hole. Tony Eusebio, the catcher, will lead it off here. 74 in the regular season. He's the backup catcher, though. Osmus did most of the catching. Eusebio, 1 home run in 164 at bats. Ricky Gutierrez will follow with the last part of the Astros batting order. Eusebio, Gutierrez, and then the pitcher Darryl Kile coming up. Look at that. 1-2 the count.
Well, if you watch Maddux, he gets call strikes and he gets hitters to swing at bad pitches. I mean, he does that better than any pitcher that I've ever seen.
Right there. Strike 3 call.
Takes 2 pitches for strikes and swings at the bad one. But I mean, that's just not unusual. That's the way Maddux pitches. He starts it right over off the outside corner, leans back right there, knee high, perfect pitch for Greg Maddux, and he gets the call.
Maddux is certainly well rested for this start as Gutierrez stands in, and that one catches the outside corner. Strike 1 call. Maddux pitched on September the 22nd against Montreal, and this is the first time since then, 8 days later. He said that no problem. He threw on the side, played catch, got his work in. He feels fine. And maybe at this time of the year, maybe that was the best possible thing that could have happened for a guy like Maddux, who, having already totaled so many innings and so many pitches in that arm, get a little breather at the end before going into what invariably turns out to be a lot more starts and a lot more pitches in the postseason. No swing. The ruling there by first base umpire Ed Rapuano.
Well, they left it up to Maddux whether he would take another start. He had 19 wins with a chance to win 20. He decided not to take that start.
And again, ruled no swing by Rapuano, and that's ball 4 to Gutierrez.
Can you imagine a guy who won 19 ball games and only had 20 walks the entire season in 232 innings? I mean, that's just an amazing statistic.
Well, and 6 of those 20 were intentional. He said and this is the way he put it, of all the sort of like stupid statistics, that's his favorite. Trying to get more wins than walks allowed.
Yeah.
He was into that one. Actually, in fact, I had it backwards. He wasn't so much into that one. He said his favorite stupid statistic was trying to have a higher batting average than earned run average. That was his favorite. And that's a called strike on the outside. 0-1 the count. Greg Maddux. I guess you can get a little bit jaded. I mean, you see him doing it year in, year out, so that you forget just how sensational he is, how special he is, because it's just a given. Maddux goes out there and he shuts you down. After bluffing the bunt, Kile rips a base hit. Stopping at second is Gutierrez.
Well, they a little more aggressive there from the Astros.
Kile had 11 hits and 89 at bats this year.
Well, he squares around Maddux with a pitch right up in the wheelhouse, and he lines it in the left center field for a base hit. Good job by Kile. And now you get a chance to score some runs with the top of your order, Biggio.
I mean, he's your leadoff man, but he's also one of your big RBI men. He's second on the club in RBIs with 81. He had 22 homers, 37 doubles. Right on the outside corner for a called strike. Biggio hit .358 for the year with runners in scoring position, meaning it's second base or third base or both. And there is a runner at second base right now. And the Astros need something to happen. 2-0 Atlanta. High in the air, left center. Klesko battling the sun out there. Makes the catch. Now Derek Bell.
One of the things that makes Greg Maddux so tough is the way that he moves the ball around. I mean, he starts a pitch off the outside corner and he gets a call strike, and then he starts one middle of the plate and moves in. Now watch, here's the first pitch to Biggio. This is how he sets you up. See, you can't hit that pitch off the plate and then it catches a corner. Now he goes inside. See the same pitch. See how he ties Biggio up? That's why Maddux is such a tough pitcher to hit against.
Here's Derek Bell. 2 out, 2 on. That's too low. It was interesting, though, Joe, on that second pitch, when he went inside, the catcher was set up on the outside.
That was the point I wanted to make, John. He has the catcher set up, but he throws to different spots because you can read the catcher sometimes if you're a hitter.
And that one just darted right beneath the bat as Bell swung. I mean, he swung at it and the ball disappeared.
A lot of smart pitchers will do that, John, like you said, they have the catcher set up in one spot and they'll throw to another. So he's set up on the outside. Look at that pitch. That's the same pitch he threw to Biggio, the first pitch that moved back towards him and down.
So again, Perez sets up on the outside, and that's too low. 2-1. So you're saying that just in case the hitter maybe is sensing where the catcher is, or maybe he peeks or whatever,
right,
he'll cross himself up if he is.
Well, he'll do that occasionally. And the same thing, I've seen Orel Hershiser do it. A lot of your pitchers who have good control and are smart pitchers will do that occasionally.
3-1. 2 men on with Gutierrez at second, Kile at first, 2 down. But the man on deck is the Astros' big slugger, Jeff Bagwell. There he is. And they'd love to get him up there with the bases loaded. So we'll see if Bell gets something to hit here. 3-1 the count. Well, it looked like he thought it was going to be something to hit. too.
Maddux will never give in with runners in scoring position. He will make a good pitch. And you can see the movement on this pitch. It just sinks down under the bat of Bell.
Bell has never had success with Maddux. There go the runners. That's a foul. He just did get a piece of that one.
He took a lot off of that pitch. And Bell a little bit out front.
And so the reading there, 82 miles an hour.
His straight fastball is up around 90 miles an hour. He throws a sinker that's around 87, 86. And then he just takes enough off. He gets around 82.
The runners go. The shortstop, Blauser, throws it out. So Bagwell does not get a chance to do some damage. He'll lead off the next inning. Maddux will be coming up. 2-0 Atlanta. Downtown Atlanta. And just off of downtown is where Turner Field is located. There's the hole where Atlanta Fulton County Stadium used to sit. It just disappeared all of a sudden one day this summer, Joe. They blew it up. They blew it up real good. Now Turner Field hosting its first postseason. Greg Maddux, the hitter, against Darryl Kile. Maddux hit 104 this year, so he did not realize his goal in his stupid stat category. His earned run average was 2.20, and his batting average only 104. 3-0 the count, though, as Kyle is showing him a lot of respect here.
Well, Kyle was second in the league in base on balls. He had 94.
You see that they've met many times, 5 different times. Both of them have pitched well, but it's Maddux who always comes away a winner, or almost always, including in this at bat. He draws a 4-pitch walk. Now Lofton coming up. He started the ball game in a big way with a little flare along the left field line, and then Lofton's speed did the rest.
Well, it was a good pitch actually by Kyle. He was in the left field. That is a base line. And he hustles it into a double, and he tagged up on a fly ball by Lockhart, gets over to third, and then he scores on a fly ball by Chipper Jones, and the Braves led 1-0. Added a home run by Klesko, and it is 2-0 at this point.
And the bunt is fouled. Maddux at first, nobody out here in the 3rd inning.
Sean Estes from the Giants led the league in base on balls with 100, and Darryl Kile was second with 94.
Kyle threw 255 in 2/3 innings. So he was the man for the Astros all season long. And a lot of the starters' innings totals were up. Kyle made 34 starts. He had 6 complete games, but that was one of Durker's goals when the season began. He wanted the starters to go deeper into the game than maybe they had been used to in the past.
Well, you mentioned Kyle. He was second to John Smoltz of the Braves, who led the league in innings pitched. So and Durker did accomplish that. He got more innings out of his starters.
Lofton hits a foul into the upper deck. Lofton one into the upper deck. 0-2 the count. So I'm into that Maddux stupid stat thing now. I'm looking for a stupid phrase. 0-2 the count to Lofton. Lockhart is on deck. The Braves, first 6 hitters in the order, all swing left-handed against Kyle. Bagwell the second one. Gutierrez with no chance to double up the speedy Lofton. Maddux out at second. 1 away. Well, now, Joe, I'm interested to see if Lofton will try and steal here, because he did not do much of that during the regular season. And before, when he tried, he often got thrown out or picked off. Then when he hurt the groin muscle injury, came back too soon. Played 1 game, went right back onto the disabled list, missed 34 out of 35 games in one stretch. And then for the year, only 27 steals. And he did not often attempt even to steal after he came back from the groin injury.
When I talked to him before the game today, he said he felt great and that he would be trying to steal bases and take the extra base as far as running the bases.
And that's ball one. He did finish up the year with a modest string of successful steals. He made second base safely on each of his last 6 attempts. 1 ball to no strikes to Lockhart. Big hole on the right side.
Got a pretty good lead at first base.
2-0.
And Kyle is concerned with him because that was kind of a slide step to the plate.
So that's Lofton having an effect here, because Lockhart he's not a bad hitter, but he's not Chipper Jones or Fred McGriff or Ryan Klesko, and those are the guys, the big sluggers, who are coming up after him. Lofton is running left field. Gonzalez, and Lofton will have to go back to first. 2 men down.
Well, it appeared to be a hit and run, and the hole was open on the left side for him to shoot through, but he couldn't get it through there. Get a fly ball.
Brad Ausmus, the regular catcher, who had a lot of success in throwing out base stealers, high above the major league average, but he's not in there. As Larry Durker going with Tony Eusebio in this one.
Well, Eusebio is basically Kyle's personal catcher, like Perez is for Maddux.
Chipper Jones. And he is the personal favorite of many a young female fan here in Atlanta, Joe. I mean, in this area, he's treated like a rock and roll star. Chipper Jones. He says he's just a normal guy. He and his wife, they like to do normal things. Go out to the movies, go have dinner. He said to be sitting there in the dark at a movie theater, and people will come up to him, ask for his autograph in the middle of the movie. And that's a ball outside. A likable guy, very intense player. Bobby Cox says he has the eyes. You know, he's cocky enough that you know thinks he's going to beat you, but he has that look of intensity in his eyes. 1 ball to no strikes. Lofton at first, 2 down. There he goes. Semi pitch out and out at second base is Lofton. Gutierrez with the tag, and a strong throw by Eusebio, who got something very close to a pitch out. Bagwell coming up. 2-0 Atlanta. Braves 2, Astros nothing as we go to the top of the 4th after Kenny Lofton was thrown out trying to steal to end the 3rd inning. And the Astros' biggest slugger, Jeff Bagwell, leads it off. He lined out to left on the first pitch he saw. This time, Bowser throws him out. Bagwell has seen 2 pitches from Maddux, hit both of them hard, but he's 0 for 2.
Well, he's going up being aggressive. He gets a pretty good pitch to hit here. This pitch is towards the outside, but it's not all the way out there. And Bagwell pulls it sharply in the hole, but a nice play by Blauser robs him of a base hit. Now watch this pitch. It doesn't get the outside part of the plate, but he rips it. Now Blauser makes a diving stop, and he gets up and throws Bagwell out. And Blauser gets up very quickly on the play, and that's why he was able to throw him out so easily.
Well, now the home plate umpire, Greg Bonet, has gone over to a camera position on the 3rd base side. Apparently there's something out in center field that is a distraction to the hitters. So they're asking the person out there to move, and now he's finally moved. Luis Gonzalez now singled his first time. That one got Eddie Perez. Count to Gonzalez, and Eddie Perez is in considerable pain at the moment. Bobby Cox out to see to him. Here's Javi Lopez. Say, man, I'm glad I don't have to catch when Greg Maddux pitches.
Well, he hits the top of the ball. He fouls it. And it looked like it hit him in his groin, and he's down.
And both Joe and I doubled over in pain almost simultaneously. Trainer David Pursley also out there with Bobby Cox as the Atlanta trainer. Like he's going to be able to continue here with a 1-strike count to Luis Gonzalez. Well, he's going to walk around a little bit now, make sure everything's working well. More divisional series action today. The San Francisco Giants, the Western Division winners, take on the wild card team, the Florida Marlins, from Miami at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. It'll be Kirk Reeder versus Kevin Brown. Then tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on the Fox network, the Cleveland Indians with Oral Hershiser and the New York Yankees with David Cohn. And then, of course, everything will be summed up for you on Baseball Tonight at midnight. Tomorrow, Baseball Tonight, and at a special edition, Baseball Tonight tomorrow afternoon. Then the Astros and Braves game 2 right here on ESPN at 1 o'clock. Tom Glavine will face Mike Hampton, a couple of crafty left-handers. So Eddie Perez is going to be okay, it looks like. 1 ball, 1 strike to Luis Gonzalez. And misses low and outside. Giants and Marlins again tomorrow, also at 4 o'clock. Same schedule here on ESPN both days. Going on and making the grab is Michael Tucker. So Gonzalez is retired. 2 men down. You really see a lot of guys hit the ball off the end of the bat, don't you, against Maddux?
Well, the thing that Maddux does so well, he doesn't use a lot of breaking balls, which you may notice here. He doesn't throw a lot of curveballs like Kile or some of the other pitchers. He works everything off the fastball. He throws a straight. When he throws one that tails in, he takes some speed off of it. Everything works right off of that pitch. So he throws you a variety of pitches because he changes the speed off of one pitch. And the movement makes it more effective, actually, than a curveball because there's quick movement.
Billy Spires, 2 down, nobody on. That's a strike on the outside.
And to your point, every pitch he throws is moving away from the hitter's perspective, so they're moving towards the end of the bat. That's the way he pitches. Left-handers, he will run it away. Right-handers, he also takes the ball away from their bat.
1 ball, 1 strike to Spires. He hit a double play ball his first time. Well, we mentioned that Giants-Florida game coming up, and Brown of the Marlins gets a lot of movement on his pitches and throws them much harder than does Greg Maddux. And the Giants have been unable to really do anything with him all year. He pitched a no-hitter against them earlier this season. That'll be coming up at 4 o'clock from Miami. Weather permitting, I guess. A chance of some thunder showers there. Lockhart throws out Spires. 3 up and 3 down. For the Astros, Greg Maddux in command. It'll be Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, and Ryan Presko coming up. There's the plaza area here up above left field with the giant bottle of Coke, and they've got a home plate area. Run from home plate up the baseline to first base out there, which a few youngsters are doing right now.
Let's go out and join them after the game.
I'd like to get a little base running work in.
Yeah.
And the pitch is fouled back and out of play. I'd like you to go up there and steal a base for me, Joe.
All right.
And show me how you just kind of twist your foot without lifting it up.
You mean unlike what Lofton did?
We got to see that, though. You have a good point on Lofton. Here's Chipper Jones with a 1-strike count as he faces Kile. Over into left center field. Hidalgo, and there is one away. Fred McGriff coming up.
We were here in May. They were talking about how far he was off the plate. Let's take a look here. And you see his back foot is here. I actually think, and he said he wasn't any farther at that point than he had been his entire career. And you can see he was having trouble because of his hips spinning out. Not so much that he couldn't reach the ball, but his hips were spinning out, and that was causing him to pull off. And looking at him now, he's in the same spot, maybe even a little deeper, but he's having more success because he says he's going to the ball and not pulling his hips out. And he's using his hands more. Before he was using his body to try to get the bat through, which caused him to pull off. Now he's using his hands.
Curveball for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. It does look to me like he's further off the plate, if anything.
It does.
Than he was then.
Yeah. He said that wasn't the problem. He told us that then, and he repeated it to me again today.
On the curveball, and Biggio throws him out at first. Out number 2.
Let's take a look. Remember, he was right in this area now. I mean, he's a little further off the plate, I think, now than he was before, but he goes into the ball better, and his hips do not spin out. See, his hips stayed in there, even though he didn't hit that ball well. He still stayed in, and he used his hands.
Ryan Klesko. Well, he did murder a curveball his first time, and he tried to murder that fastball, but didn't get it.
Well, Kyle, with all the left-handers, Chipper Jones, McGriff, and Klesko, if he can keep the fastball belt high and above on the inner part of the plate, he's going to be successful. And that's how he threw Chipper Jones his entire at bat. And he threw a fastball up to Klesko right there to get ahead of him. And then he comes back with that good curveball.
2-0 Atlanta in the 4th. 2 down, nobody on. And the fastball for the strikeout. 8 pitches, and the 3 big sluggers are gone for Atlanta. We go to the 5th inning. Maddux and the Braves still up. Game 1 of the 1997 Division Championship Series between the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. John Miller, Joe Morgan here with you. The Braves are leading 2-0. Kenny Lofton thrown out trying to steal to end the 3rd inning. And Joe, you still feel that there's something about his form that's working against him.
Well, he has what we call a false step. We'll take a look at it in a second.
Richard Hidalgo is the hitter. And Maddux throws a called strike on the outside. Hidalgo grounded out to 3rd his first time. And he got a breaking ball that time and hit a foul off the right field line. 0-2.
One of the few breaking balls that he has thrown.
I remember 1 or 2 others.
Yeah. But the first pitch he threw is, I mean, that pitch is almost impossible to hit because it starts so far off the plate, and then it works its way back over the corner. When it starts that far away from you, you have a tendency to give up on it, and then it works its way back over the corner. And that's how he gets most of his 3rd call strikes, with that pitch.
And he pulled that one foul.
That was a curveball. The pitch before was a slider. Now he comes with a curveball. And you can see the difference in speed right there, a 73-mile-an-hour curveball.
He's thrown mostly fastballs up till now.
Well, a lot of his pitches look like fastballs, but they're actually changes, so it's hard to distinguish between the two sometimes.
Lofton, fairly deep. Right center. On number 1.
Speaking of Lofton, let's finally take a look at that, what I was talking about. Now watch his right foot here. He should turn it towards second base, but he'll pick it up, and that means you're running in place. See right there how he picks it up? That's causes, that you lose a split second there of push off towards second base. The first movement should be you throw your left side towards second base, but he picks his foot up and then goes. And a lot of base stealers will do that. It's a false step, and that's why they're out sometimes by just, a few inches at second base.
That was only the 2nd time that Kenny Lofton has ever been caught stealing in a postseason game. 1 ball, 1 strike to Eusebio, the catcher. He struck out his first time. He's the man who threw out Kenny Lofton trying to steal in that 3rd inning. That's a foul back out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He had 18, or before this one, 17 steal attempts and have been successful 16 times. 16 out of 17, but now caught for the 2nd time. Base hit. just through. Blauser could not quite get to it.
There you get a look at how quick this infield is. That ball, after it hit over the mound, it just picked up speed. And when it hit that dirt out there, it's a very quick infield. And you see Maddux throws him fastball. He chops over Maddux's head. Now that's a chopper, but watch, it just scoots on into center field, because this is, as I said, a very quick infield.
Ricky Gutierrez, who walked his first time. 2-0 Atlanta in the 5th. There goes Eusebio, and he makes it. Looked like a hit and run play. Gutierrez missed the pitch, but Eusebio steals the base on a poor throw by Perez.
I feel that the Astros should have done that the first time they got runners on. Just start some movement, make something happen. Because if you let Maddux get comfortable out there, it's not going to, you're dead. And this is his first major league steal. I mean, so they are being aggressive if you run the catcher in this situation. But it begs to wonder why you didn't run some of the other guys in the earlier part of the game when you're trying to set the tone for what you're going to do.
0-2 now to Gutierrez. The pitcher, Darryl Kile, is on deck. To the right side, Lockhart as Eusebio takes third, throws out Gutierrez.
And probably would have been a double play if he had not stolen second base. As they did the second inning, they got a runner on and they held him there, and then hit him to a double play. Maddux is going to try to keep the ball on the infield at all times to get ground balls. So if the more you leave your runners at first base, the more double plays you're going to hit into.
Greg Maddux, I mean, when you look at Maddux, and it's hard sometimes to think of this because he is so unimposing. You know, he doesn't have the glare and the heat of a Bob Gibson or the great fastball and curveball of a Sandy Koufax blow you away with either one. But he certainly has had the success that those guys at their best or anybody ever has had.
Well, the one thing that he does have, John, he's a very fierce competitor, and he may not show it on the outside, but he is a real tough competitor inside.
And Darryl Kile drives in the first run of the game against him. Darryl Kile is 2 for 2, and he has an RBI. Eusebio scores, and that base running aggressiveness has turned into a run for Atlanta, or for Houston, against the Atlanta great Greg Maddux.
And Maddux was very upset with himself when he threw that pitch. There was a base hit to center field. Not a bad pitch. The pitch is down, but it gets back over the plate. And Maddux was very upset with himself because he knew that falling behind an account gave Kile an opportunity to sit on the fastball.
Now Biggio. Well, that's defies rational explanation. The pitcher drives in the run. Now Biggio's had the great year. Hits the comebacker. Nice play by Maddux to get it. 2-1 though. The Astros are hanging in there. ESPN's coverage of the Major League Baseball Divisional Series. We're covering the National League Divisional Series. Currently, Greg Maddux, after giving up a run on a single by Darryl Kile.
Well, for Greg Maddux, that's a big show of emotion to show that he's upset. He's really kind of a quiet guy, does not show a lot of emotion, but I knew he was very upset just by his mannerisms on the mound. But, you know, things like that happen.
Well, Darryl Kile has really helped himself in this one as he throws a curveball to Michael Tucker. Strike one call. Kile has only given up 2 hits to the Braves. The Lofton double in the first and the home run to Klesko in the second. And he has gotten 2 hits.
When I talked to him before the game, John, he said there are 2 Atlanta Braves teams. He said the toughest one for him is when they try to play little ball, meaning Lofton, some of these guys get on base, they bunt him over, they hit and run, they do things. He said that's tough for him. He said when they play long ball, he usually doesn't have a lot of problems because they will swing at a lot of bad pitches.
High in the air into right center field. This is Bell. Tucker is gone. Tomorrow night on ESPN, the NHL returns as the Philadelphia Flyers host the Florida Panthers. The Flyers, led by superstar Eric Lindros, were Eastern Conference champions a year ago. That's the Panthers and the Flyers tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN. Tomorrow we'll have the 2 ball games for you. Again, the Braves and the Astros at 1, the Giants and the Marlins at 4 Eastern, and then the hockey game tomorrow night. Here's Eddie Perez. He fouled out to first his first time. There's the high hard one. 0-2 the count. That was real hard. 94 miles an hour. 2-1 Atlanta is leading. Atlanta beat Kile earlier this year. The first time he faced them, in fact. He went 8 innings and pitched a 2-hitter against them, but gave up 3 runs and lost 3-2. That was pretty close with a curveball. 1-2. 2 runs and 2 hits for the Braves. 1 run and 4 hits for the Astros. That one spins in there. Strike 3 call.
Well, he dropped down and threw a sidearm breaking ball there. And he caught Perez looking. He didn't come in 3/4. Now he drops down. Comes a little sidearm with that. Starts it right at Perez, buckles his knees, and he breaks over the inside corner. Watch his front side of his body right there. He breaks down and strike 3 call. That's what that curveball will do to you, John.
Yeah, it makes you look bad, doesn't it?
Yes.
And a curve to Blauser for a strike. Well, it took Kile a little while to get the feel for his curveball, but he certainly has it now.
Well, I think he's throwing a little slower, and I think he's getting a better break on it because of that. I mean, he was trying to turn him. He wanted to start that one at him and break it too, but it obviously slipped out of his hand. Sometimes, at the beginning of the game, your adrenaline's flowing. I mean, you overthrow your fastball and your breaking ball. Well, that right there, I really don't know what that was.
Well, I blame myself.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here bragging about how well he's throwing the curveball, and look what happens. 2-1 to Blauser. I remember Cal Ripken used to talk about Bert Blyleven and how he'd always be up there. It looked like the ball was going to hit him, and it'd break right over the plate, make him look real bad. As a curve misses. So Cal finally had a way of gauging Blyleven's curveball. He said if it looked like it was going to hit him, he swung at it. He said if it looked like it was going to go behind him, he took it. That one usually missed just by an inch or so inside. 3-1 the count. And it's a walk to Jeff Blauser. And Greg Maddux comes up. Jane Fonda and Ted Turner. And also in the owner's box down there, the former commissioner of baseball, Fay Vincent, is here today. In between innings, home plate umpire Greg Bonet went over and shook hands with Fay.
I thought that was interesting. And that Fay has been gone for quite a while, but Greg still remembers.
And they still haven't replaced him.
Well, you're right. 8 years ago, right?
Yeah. Oh, not quite 8, but however, it's been about 6.
Well, it's been quite a while. Maybe it'll be 8 before they do replace him. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Jeff Blauser at first base, 2 down. Maddux walked his first time. Kile has not yet thrown a strike to him until now. 1 ball, 1 strike. So now Maddux batting against Kile. He'd like to do something here. Kile has gone 2 for 2 against him with an RBI. Broken back. So the inning is over. We're heading to the 6th inning. It'll be Derek Bell, Jeff Bagwell, and Luis Gonzalez. The power up for the Astros.
ESPN's presentation of the 1997 Division Series is brought to you by VFW. We'd do anything for this country.
We're in Atlanta. The Braves are leading the Astros 2-1, true to form. I mean, these 2 ball clubs played 11 times in the regular season, and all 11 games were decided by either 1 run or 2 runs. Here's Derek Bell with Jeff Bagwell on deck. Greg Maddux misses. 1 ball and no strikes. Bell has flied out to shallow left center and has grounded out to short.
Normally when you face a pitcher the 3rd time, you have a better gauge of what you want to do against him. Greg Maddux, you can face him 4 times, 5 times in a game. You still don't know exactly what he wants to do because he basically changes speed so often. Normally, if a guy wants to get you out with a curveball, or if he wants to get you out with a fastball in or a fastball away. With Maddux, he just changes every time you come to the plate.
And there's that backup pitch again, starting off too far off the outside and then catching the corner. Darryl Kile, meanwhile, has got a 2-hitter going, keeping his ball club right in the game. And Bell, he made Bell look bad in that at bat.
Well, that's an example of what we're talking about. He takes 2 strikes and swings at the bad one. I mean, Maddux makes you do that. You take strikes and swing at the bad pitches. I mean, that's his M.O. And you see that pitch is way off the plate. He took 2 right on the corner, and he swings at 1 way out of the strike zone.
Now Jeff Bagwell. Bagwell has only seen 2 pitches. He lined one into left field, and then he was robbed of a possible hit by Blauser, who made a dive to grab one and throw him out in the 4th inning. This is the first time he has not swung at Maddux's first offering. The 2 of them, Biggio and Bagwell, the 2 big superstars for the Astros, are 0 for 5 and have now seen between them 7 pitches in those, and this is the 6th at bat. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bagwell. And Maddux has kept all 3 of the Killer Bees off base so far. Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell 0 for 8.
I mean, he doesn't get cheated, does he? I mean, everything comes unhinged when Bagwell swings, and that was a changeup. And watch this swing. Everything goes. I mean, he's not holding anything back.
The earth shook.
Yeah. As Clint Carter used to say, that was a wall cut right there. He was not trying to hit a single.
1-2 the count.
Right on the corner. I tell you, it's amazing to me. I mean, he gets that pitch. You can't swing at the pitch, though. It's off the plate. He had 3 pitches going away from him. Now the last one starts off the plate and comes in. This is the first pitch. Breaking ball away. Another one away. Now watch this pitch come back. Starts out there and comes back. I mean, he has you going one way and then he brings it back the other way. I mean, that's why I say you can't gauge him.
Luis Gonzalez, ball 1.
You can't get a gauge as you can other pitchers after 2 or 3 at bats. You just still don't know what he wants to do to you.
Popped up. Blauser doesn't know where it is, and it falls in front of Lofton. Now he's got Gonzalez hung up. McGriff, Lockhart to McGriff for the tagout. So Blauser lost it in the sunlight, and Gonzalez ended up in no man's land, and the inning is over. Lofton will be coming up. It looked like the Astros had gotten a break, and then perhaps the Astros, Luis Gonzalez, made a mistake.
Well, it's a fine play by Lofton. Watch right here. Blauser throws his hands out. He means I don't see it. Lofton hustles in, gets it on 1 bounce, looks up, and fires to first base. Gonzalez in no man's land out there, standing in between first and second, gets caught in a rundown, and you're not going to get out of that too often. Gonzalez, he pops the ball up. See, he thinks he's just hustling all the way. But about now, you got to come under control, and he didn't come under control until it was too late. And again, it's a very good play by Lofton, more than a poor play by Gonzalez, because he was hustling, but good play there by Lofton.
So there's more. I mean, you teach, hey, run hard in case they don't catch it, but there's more to it than just that.
Once you get to first base, you get yourself under control.
Here's Kenny Lofton to lead it off. And it is ball 1. Jeff Blauser drew a 2-out walk in the 5th inning, allowing Maddux to bat. So Lofton gets to start this inning off against Kile. And he has produced one of the 2 Atlanta runs. And I mean, he produced it. A bloop to left. He took 3rd on a fly ball and scored on a fly ball. Runs have been in a premium. 2-1 Atlanta. And there's one away. Now let's go to our colleague, Kevin Kennedy.
Hi, guys. What we're going to watch, this is a correct way to throw somebody out. Tony Eusebio, watch his feet and his shoulders square up as he receives the ball in good position to throw a strike down to second base and get Kenny Lofton out. Very good time. Watch Perez. He does it wrong. His head goes away from the plate. His feet and shoulders are not squared up on time. That's why he threw that ball high into center field. Big difference in a one-run game.
All right, Kevin Kennedy, former Boston Red Sox manager and Texas Rangers manager, now an ESPN analyst, and he'll be with us throughout this series, spotlighting certain aspects of play during the series. Kevin Kennedy also was for a long time a catcher, so he knows what he's talking about when he talks about catchers, that's for sure. And Gonzalez makes the catch. Lockhart is retired. 2 men down. Darryl Kile gave up the Lofton double and a run in the first, a home run to Klesko in the second. And since the Klesko home run, he has allowed 2 walks, and that's it. He's retired 16 of the last 18 men he's faced. The 2 men he did not retire walked. Chipper Jones, the hitter, he got the sacrifice fly, which in retrospect, Joe, that was a big play too, getting that runner home from third. Lofton in the first inning. A changeup, and he couldn't hold himself. It is 0-2.
Well, Darryl Kile, no doubt, is in the groove now because he's using more pitches. Earlier, he didn't have control of the changeup. He was falling behind a few hitters, so he had to use a fastball and the breaking curveball. Now he's using all of his pitches.
Here's the curve. Strike 3 on the outside corner. Well, he is throwing that curve with authority right now. Darryl Kile and Greg Maddux locked up in a tight one. 2-1 Atlanta. 2-1 Atlanta as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Today's aerial views of Turner Field are being provided by Pennzoil Copter Cam. And we're glad to have them with us here. And we've got the makings of a classic pitcher's duel, Joe, in the first game of the National League Division Series between the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves. Bill Spires, the hitter, fouls one away against Maddux. And I guess it's not too surprising that we would have a pitcher's duel. Greg Maddux 19-4 during the season, and Darryl Kile was 19-7. 2 of the best pitchers in the league. Spires is into a double play and grounded out to second. That one sinks low on the outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Greg Maddux has allowed 5 hits, including 2 to Darryl Kile. And he's gotten Spires to hit the ground ball to the second baseman 3 straight times. Once into a double play. 1 gone.
Well, he just changes speed so well, keeps the ball down. A lot of left-handed hitters out in front, so they end up hitting a little weak ground ball to second base.
Now Richard Hidalgo, the rookie, will come up. Greg Maddux has thrown 71 pitches in this ball game. And here he is into the 7th inning, and there's that slider, strike 1. And he's thrown probably more breaking balls to Hidalgo than any other single hitter.
He saved all of them to a young guy. And that makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you, John. You know, young players, you like to throw them the breaking balls. And the veterans, you throw them fastballs and move them around. That's basically how a lot of pitchers pitch to veterans and to rookies.
Well, look what he did there. I mean, he threw the slider and then took something off the fastball and made it almost exactly the same speed as the slider. That slider, a check swing, and the appeal denied by first base umpire Ed Rapuano. 2 83-mile-an-hour sliders here and an 84-mile-an-hour change-up or whatever. A fastball.
Or whatever. I think that's the way to do it.
1-2. Right there. Hidalgo. He is gone.
There's another breaking ball from Maddux. And you're right. He's throwing all breaking balls almost to the young player. I think he may have had a little help right there. That pitch didn't look as good as the pitch he took on the pitch before, but
well, that's a team's worst fear against Maddux, right? That the umpire will allow him to go out there. That is a base hit by Eusebio, his 2nd consecutive hit. He also had a steal his last time and scored the Astros' only run.
And John, speaking of umpires, Harry Wendelstedt wanted me to wish his father well. Harry Wendelstedt Sr. is recovering in Baltimore. He's in the hospital there at Franklin Hospital in Baltimore, and he wanted me to wish him a speedy recovery, and so do we all here at ESPN. Harry Wendelstedt Sr.
Well, indeed we do. Glad he was able to tune in today and check up on his son just to make sure he's doing it right.
Right. So far, he's done everything okay.
Beautiful.
Stuck him out there in left field. Everything's okay.
1 ball and no strikes to Gutierrez. The 8th place hitter. Kile would be next. 2 down. Remember, Eusebio stole a base back in the 5th inning. I asked Harry before the game, how come he was the left field umpire? He's the crew chief.
Right.
He says, well, if the series goes 5 games, he would be back of the plate for the 5th game.
Okay.
They want the most experienced man behind the plate for the 5th game. The outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike to Gutierrez.
It's amazing how he can hit the outside corner so consistently with all of his pitches. And Greg Maddux is kind of the opposite of Glavine. Glavine stands close on the first base side of the rubber. Maddux stands on the extreme third base side of the rubber, so he gets that angle on the right-handed hitter.
Just off the outside. But you know, Joe, going back to that outside corner 2 years ago when Atlanta played Cleveland, Eddie Murray said that they were kind of lobbying with the umpire not to allow him to go off the plate with and get the pitch called strikes, because Maddux is going to be untouchable if that pitch is consistently a strike.
Well, the problem is, John, is that he is so consistent with his pitches. I mean, they're ½ inch on the plate, ½ inch off the plate, and in a lot of cases, I mean, you're going to get that call. I mean, in the history of the game, I mean, the Juan Marichals of the world who had great control, they got pitches like that. Just like if you're Willie Mays, they don't call you out on the same pitches they call other hitters out on.
The fastball is fouled back toward the press box. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Gutierrez. Battling it out here with Maddux. This may be the deepest into account. Certainly the highest number of pitches Maddux has thrown to a single hitter today. Gutierrez has drawn the only walk allowed by Maddux. Strike 3 call. 1 man left. It'll be Fred McGriff coming up. Then Klesko and Tucker. The Braves leading 2-1. The Braves maintaining a 2-1 lead as we go to the last of the 7th inning from Turner Field. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. And Greg Maddux and Darryl Kile are locked up in quite a struggle. And make no mistake about it, the heat really is on both ball clubs, of course, but more on Atlanta. They only get these 2 games at home in this 5-game series. Fred McGriff under the glove of Biggio. He got there, and it went under the glove.
Well, I've watched Biggio make himself into a Gold Glove second baseman. I mean, he was a catcher originally, but he's turned into a Gold Glove second baseman. I thought he actually had time to get over in front of this ball. So he slows down right there, and he doesn't get to it. Like he was trying to time it so that he'd be in position. Now watch it. Like, see, he doesn't break real quickly. He's trying to time it so he'll be in position to throw to first base. But with a slow runner like McGriff, I thought he could have gotten over and maybe had even gotten in front of that ball. But it's an error.
They charge him with an error, and here is Klesko. 0-1.
I know Kyle is saying to himself, I didn't have my good curveball at the beginning of this ball game. Why did I throw him one on the first pitch? Because since that time, he's thrown the fastball by him, and he's thrown him a couple of pretty good curveballs that Klesko has taken.
The Braves have not had a hit against Kile since Klesko's first pitch homer, leading off the 2nd inning. Now we are in the 7th. He retired the last 3 hitters in that 2nd inning in order. And has not given up a hit since Klesko's homer. Houston out hitting Atlanta 6-2, but trailing 2-1. Now play 0-2 to Klesko.
Every fastball that he's thrown him, he's been late on. Klesko is supposed to be a pretty good fastball hitter, but he's been late on these.
The first time through the order. He struggled, but the second time around he dominated him and has continued so far the third time around. All into the count to Klesko. Curve, and that misses. 1-2. Surprise you that he threw a curveball there?
Yes, and sometimes you wonder what a pitcher goes through a pitcher's mind. In every fastball that he has thrown Klesko today, he has been late or missed it completely. I mean, an 0-2 pitch, good high fastball, let him swing at it. Klesko will chase the fastball up and out of the strike zone.
And a curveball.
I mean, that's a beautiful curve right there. I mean, that was nasty. Klesko shaking his head, but it looked like it was perfect pitch. It was in the middle of the plate. I guess Klesko thought it may have been high. Let's take a look at it. It's right in the middle of the plate, so you can't say it's not over the plate, but well, it doesn't look like it's high either.
I don't think it was too high, no.
No, so as they say, that one you just have to tip your cap to him and go back and sit down.
Michael Tucker. And it's ball one. Now, Kile had thrown 80 pitches coming into this inning.
Which was not bad considering he threw 23 in the first inning.
Yeah.
To Maddux's 4.
2-1 Atlanta in the last of the 7th. 1 out. McGriff at first. Tucker is 0 for 2. That one is hit well deep into left center field. Gonzalez back there for the catch. And this is where the Braves hitters almost uniformly, they go back in the dugout and they start throwing things around, because that was almost surely a home run in the old ballpark. Much more baseball coming up later. The San Francisco Giants and the Florida Marlins at 4, 1 Pacific. Then tonight at 8, 5 Pacific, the Cleveland Indians and the New York Yankees on the Fox network. Then baseball tonight at midnight Eastern. Much later, the whole day in baseball. So stay with us. The Giants and the Marlins coming up after our ball game at 4 o'clock Eastern, with Kirk Reeder for the Giants and Kevin Brown for the Marlins, as Eddie Perez takes the ball. But you know, I think, you know, some of the Atlanta sluggers, this new ballpark with the bigger dimensions kind of got into their head earlier this year.
Well, the ball's not traveling as well today either. In batting practice, the ball was not traveling. Even to left field, the ball just wasn't jumping. And you're right, that does hurt, you know, the sluggers on this ball club. I mean, the flags in left field look like they're going, you know, from left to right. But that's high above the stadium. You can't really tell what's happening down inside the stadium, because sometimes it swirls out there. But there's no doubt the ball doesn't carry as well here as it did over Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Yeah, that ballpark had the nickname the launching pad. Perez fouls one straight back, and the count is 2 balls and a strike with 2 down and a runner at first in the 7th inning. That's all that's left of the launching pad, Joe.
Well, it looks like a launching pad now. The kind they have down at Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy.
Yeah, and if Brian Klesko and Fred McGriff and a couple of the other guys had their way, they'd still go back over there, and they'd much rather hit over there. 2-1 to Perez. He's 0 for 2. That one is hit into left center. Has that one. So the error, and that's it. Still without a hit since the 2nd are the Braves. 2-1 Atlanta. Kile coming up.
ESPN's presentation of the 1997 Division Series is brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. You don't have to live thirsty. Life is a sport. Drink up. And by National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go.
2-1 Atlanta, top of the 8th inning. Our Kevin Kennedy has been spotlighting the 2 catchers today. Eusebio of Houston, Perez for the Braves. Let's go to Kevin.
John, this is why Eddie Perez is so good for Greg Maddux, getting these outside corners, these third strikes. Right here, Eusebio earlier in the ball game, up to 5 strikeouts, 4 are looking, and it's largely due to the setup of Perez. Outside corner again, curveball 6 inches off the plate. Again, fastball off the plate. He just freezes the ball smoothly. Good look for the umpire.
And that's a good point, Kevin. You're talking about a lot of guys catch the ball moving their glove. He catches it with his glove stationary, and that gets him the strikes he wants.
Here's a pinch hitter now. Bobby Abreu, rookie outfielder for the Astros, as a pinch hitter for Darryl Kile, even though Kile has really been the Astros offense. 2 for 2 with an RBI. And that's too high. Abreu, 250 during the season in 188 at-bats. 3 homers, 26 batted in. Russ Springer, hard-throwing right-hander, is heating up in the Astros bullpen. That time he did not get that call, Joe.
And Maddux, very disappointed. He thought that pitch got the outside corner.
3-0. BGO on deck. 3-1. So real big here if Abreu can get on base, because BGO is one of the Astros' 2 superstar players, big run producers. And he is on base hit into left center field. I think that's the only 3-1 count, although he did walk Gutierrez earlier. But he has not had to pitch from behind like that most of the day.
Well, he gets a 3-1 count. He throws a fastball. One of the few times you'll see him hit the middle of the plate. That ball right in the middle of the plate, and good hitting there by Abreu. He just hits a line drive over shortstop. The question is, what do you do here? Do you hit and run? What do you do? I think you have to do something.
BGO the hitter. He's 0 for 3. Abreu had 7 steals for the year. He runs well.
And that was Maddux trying to see if BGO was going to bunt. He stepped off the mound to see if somebody was going to indicate what was going on. I don't believe you should bunt, but I think you should hit and run or try something.
Chipper Jones very shallow at third. There goes Abreu. The hit and run is on, and the ball is lofted foul off to the right into the second deck.
See, I like that, because that puts in the back of the defense's mind that they're going to do something. You get a little edgy. You have to shorten up a little bit. It changes your philosophy. And you see Maddux talking to Blauser, because in that particular pitch, Blauser was covering, and so now he's going to talk to him about where this next pitch is going to be. They may want to come inside if, you know, this pitch. Therefore, they will let the second baseman cover. But Blauser was covering on that pitch, and I think that was a very good play there from Darryl.
Abreu back to the bag. Derek Bell on deck, then Jeff Bagwell after him. 2-1 Atlanta is leading in the 8th inning. The 9th spot in the Astros batting order, by the way. Perfect. Kile 2 for 2, and now Abreu, the pinch hitter, with a single. Unfortunately, the guys at the top have not done anything yet. Now he bunts, but pops it foul and back out of play. Well, that was a whole different idea.
Yeah, that he was trying to push for a base hit. Now, he wasn't sacrificing. He was trying to push the ball down the first baseline, but if he didn't beat it out, he would at least gotten the runner to second base. You know, that's a play that you might want to try. I don't necessarily agree with it in this situation, but that's the way they wanted to play it.
Well, he's one of the 2 big home run threats as well, remember. 22 home runs. Got a piece of that one. He fought off a real tough pitch there for Maddux. Lofting it foul. That was the 90th pitch, by the way, for Maddux this afternoon.
John, I learned something from Spark Anderson a long time ago. He said if your big guys that are supposed to do it if they do not do it, you're not going to win. So I guess, you know, you have to. BGO is one of your big guys. Let him do something.
Yeah, don't have him bunting.
No.
0-2 the count. Abreu at first. Misses off the corner with the fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
See, now you're in a 1-2 count. This is a situation Maddux wants to make something happen here. This is a situation where you can also send him without thinking about a pitch out.
Maddux held a long while there before making that throw to first.
See, they will not pitch out 1-2 because then it becomes a perfect hit and run situation. So Maddux will try to make something happen on this pitch. So it's, in my opinion, it's another good pitch to run on.
He's not running. Along the right field line. Andrew Jones just into the game for defensive reasons. In foul territory. Out number 1.
Sometimes you can think along with the pitcher. You know he doesn't want to go to 2-2, so you know he's not going to pitch out 1-2. He's going to make something happen on this pitch, and that's why Maddux is smart. He's not going to run the count to 2-2. So he throws and makes Biggio hit the ball on this pitch, and the ball just keeps drifting away. Andrew Jones makes the catch. Now he looks back to hold Abreu, but he was not getting off anyway.
Andrew Jones taking over in right field for Michael Tucker this inning. And Daniel Bautista has come on to play left field, replacing Ryan Klesko. Andrew Jones will hit in Klesko's number 5 spot. Bautista in Tucker's number 6 spot. Here is Derek Bell. Abreu still at first base. And that's ball 1. Now, Derek Bell is 0 for 3. And the worst of his 3 at-bats was the 3rd time that he's seen Maddux today.
John, watch how far he's set up off the plate. Look at this. Look at Perez. I mean, he's not even close. Now, that's what you were talking about before. It looked like a pitch out. Now, that is a pitch out to a certain extent. He's already out there, so you throw the ball off the plate outside without giving away that it was a pitch out. Because
so, I mean, is that where you're trying to disguise a pitch out?
Exactly. That's exactly what you're doing.
You think that maybe you've picked off a sign from them? You don't want them to know, or what?
I don't think they've picked off a sign, but they don't want them to know that they're pitching out, because if you pitch out and you miss, then they know you're not going to pitch out the next pitch. But if you throw a fastball away, they're not sure that you're not going to pitch out. It's kind of a mind game, but if a catcher sets up that far outside and you're watching, that should tell you that it is a pitch out. See, where he's already out there. So all he would have had to do was step forward and throw to second base. And that's what that was about.
Meanwhile, Maddux has now fallen behind 2-0 to Derek Bell. That one hit down the right field line. Easy play for Andrew Jones. So now Bagwell will get a shot, and perhaps this is the last best chance for the Astros today.
And I don't think there's any doubt that this is their last best chance, because they're probably not going to get the bat again in this ball game.
I mean, let's face it, once you get past Bagwell, the cleanup hitter for the Astros, Luis Gonzalez, had 10 home runs and a .258 average. So once you're past Bagwell, you've gotten through the worst of it. Bagwell is 0 for 3, although he hit the ball hard twice. A liner to left and a ground ball to short, and on which he was robbed. He struck out looking his last time. Ball 1. Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell.
You're watching your Houston Astros live on UPN 20.
11 against Maddux. There's Biggio 0 for 4.
That's why the score is 2-1. I mean, Maddux controls them.
Well, it's your Sparky Anderson theory. If your big guys are shut down, you're not going to win.
You're probably going to lose.
But that really is true with the Astros.
Yes.
I mean, some teams have 6 or 7 big guys, right?
Yeah, they have 3, and that's basically it. You can watch Bagwell. He only has one thing in mind, and that's a 3-2 lead here right now. Because, I mean, that was a slider away, and he was reached out trying to pull it. I mean, he's trying to do what he's supposed to do in this situation. He's trying to take it deep. A little different setup there by Eddie Perez, like they were going to come off the plate inside on Bagwell. Every pitch so far in this ball game to Bagwell has been away, and he's starting to go out there to try to get it. So maybe they're going to try to set up inside. No, he goes back away again.
Ooh. Got that one out over the plate, and he tried to murder it.
Well, the speed got him on that one, John. You know, he's changing speed. He doesn't throw 2 pitches the same speed. See, that's a backup slider like. Wasn't much on it, but it was 85 miles an hour, and Bagwell a little late on it.
The whole crowd on its feet now at Turner Field. Well, they know themselves what this at-bat means. That this could be the game and the set right here. Threw him a curveball. 2-2.
So that's another thing that makes Maddux so tough. You throw your fastball, changeup, fastball, movement on both pitches, and you forget about the curveball almost. And then all of a sudden he snaps one off as he did there, but that one was such a poor curveball, Bagwell didn't have to chase it.
Everybody standing at Turner Field. 2 down. Bagwell fights it off into the upper deck. 2-2, and now you've got the great slugger. I mean, statistically, the greatest slugger for a single season in Astros history. Jeff Bagwell against the great Greg Maddux, and the game on the line.
Well, Maddux called Perez out because he has made a good pitch their way again, and Bagwell got a piece of it. I guess he's asking Perez, do you think I have him set up to go inside or not? And they wanted to make sure that they're on the same wavelength, because you do not want to make a mistake inside to Bagwell at this point of the game.
Abreu at first with 2 down. A possible tying run, and he's back to the bag. Very few teams in a spot like this, Joe, would not have somebody heating up in the bullpen. The Braves bullpen has been quiet all the way through. There goes Abreu. Ball 3. And he's got the steal. Now Bagwell's job, well, he may not have a chance to do anything, right? First base is open.
To me, if you're going to steal a base, you steal it early enough in the count where you give Bagwell a chance to drive you in. Now it's 3-2. Maddux says, hey, if I make a bad pitch, so what? I'm going to try to make a perfect pitch. If I do, I'm fine. If I don't, you know.
He absolutely does not have to give in here. 3-2. Struck him out. Bagwell is 0 for 4. Biggio is 0 for 4. And the Braves need only 3 outs more to win this first game. 2-1, Atlanta. Game 1 of the 1997 National League Division Series between the Astros and the Braves are clinging to a 2-1 lead for that man, Greg Maddux.
Well, he threw him a 3-2 changeup. I mean, it was just an amazing pitch. Every other pitch was going away or moving in, and then he throws one that just falls, the bottom falls out.
Now Russ Springer on the pitch in relief of Darryl Kile. And Darryl Kile, who again pitches a beauty against the Braves, against Maddux.
Second time he's pitched a 2-hitter through 8 innings
this year.
Behind. Yeah.
8 innings the first time, through 7 in this one with a 2-hitter. He lost the first one 3-2, and he's trailing in this one 2-1. And Greg Maddux is out on deck. And the Braves bullpen has been empty, quiet throughout. Jeff Blauser, the hitter. And Springer misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Springer is a hard thrower. The Astros have pretty good bullpen with some real hard throwers when everybody's going well. Springer is one of several. 2-2. Blauser is flying out to shallow center, and he is walked. Well, later tonight, the Yankees and Cleveland will go at it. Both ball clubs with lots of sluggers. And Blauser's down on strikes for 1 away. But Houston has just really Biggio, Bagwell, and to a lesser extent Bell. And all 3 of them have been shut down. Coming up, the Giants and the Marlins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on ESPN. And then tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, the Cleveland Indians and the New York Yankees from Yankee Stadium on Fox. And it's all wrapped up with all of the highlights on Baseball Tonight at midnight Eastern. Big ovation for Greg Maddux as he takes a fastball for a strike. It is 0-1. On the outside, strike 2 call.
You know, a lot of people will say that, you know, maybe this is a boring game, not a lot of hitting, so forth. But just to watch Greg Maddux in action is worth the price of admission.
And down he goes quickly. Out number 2.
I mean, he has done this basically with fastball, changeup, movement on the fastball, hitting his spots, changing speeds. I mean, that's what he does. He's only thrown breaking balls to Hidalgo, the young center fielder. Other than that, he's basically used fastball, changeup.
With Kenny Lofton coming up, Larry Durker is going to make a pitching change, go to a left-hander. 2-1 Atlanta. Will be back. Braves 2, Astros 1. Last of the 8th inning, 2 down, nobody on. And the left-hander, 27 years of age, Tom Martin, comes on to face Kenny Lofton. And this guy did a real fine job, usually in spots like this, facing a left-hander or 2 for Larry Durker.
Well, 2 things here. He wants to obviously keep Kenny Lofton off the base, but if he gets on, he's a left-hander. He can at least try to hold him at first base, keep him from stealing, although he has not been successful tonight.
He did not allow a run in any of his relief appearances in the month of September. Lofton right back to Martin. And the inning is quickly over. So now the last chance coming up. Greg Maddux gets ready to head out. It'll be Luis Gonzalez, Bill Spires, and Richard Hidalgo due up. And so now we go to the ninth, and Greg Maddux is still out there with a 2-1 lead. The Astros with Maddux having thrown 102 pitches, allowing 7 hits, only 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Darryl Kile was outstanding, 7 innings, only 2 hits allowed, none after the second inning, but he could lose this ball game. And that is your Wrangler pitching summary for this game. Tony Graffinino now at second base as Maddux throws a called strike to Luis Gonzalez. Gonzalez has 2 hits today, 2 for 3. Hit hard, but there is Andruw Jones. 1 gone in the 9th inning.
And you can see Maddux give a sigh of relief right there, because he has had a lot of problems with Gonzalez throughout his career.
In the bullpen will be ready. It is Wohlers, Cather, and Embry warming up. That is Wohlers, the big guy on the right. Embry on the left is the left-hander. Cather is in the middle.
And it shows a change of thinking by Bobby Cox. In the past, you've always seen Wohlers finish the 9th inning for Maddux or Glavine or whomever when they pitch this well. But now he's going all the way with Maddux.
Billy Spires, he has gone 0 for 3 and has 3 times hit a ground ball to the second baseman.
And the reason for that, of course, is Wohlers has struggled lately.
Changeup is low. 2-0. And Wohlers had 3 blown saves in the month of September alone, and also some in the month of August. He had 7 all year, and I believe all 7 of them came in the last 2 months of the year. 3-0. Now Maddux up over 100 pitches. This is only the 9th time this year that he's thrown more than 100 pitches.
But you mentioned he's had 8 days off in between this start and the last one he made during the season, so truthfully he should be okay.
Yeah, should have some extra strength. He had 3 complete games this year, 9-inning complete games where he threw 90 pitches or less. He had 1 against the Cubs. He threw 76 pitches going the distance. Over the outside, it is 3-2 now.
And this is when he's most dangerous. He's come back throwing you 2 fastballs down the middle. Now he may throw you a changeup. And that's what makes him so tough on not only right-handed hitters, but left-handed hitters as well.
The crowd rising to its feet. Fred McGriff to Maddux cover. 2 down. And Hidalgo, the rookie, due up. But Larry Dierker is going to go to a little more experience here. Dierker is going to go to Sean Barry, who is out on deck as the pinch hitter for Hidalgo. Barry, the veteran, who has had a real poor year. He's been platooning since coming back from an injury. And has not, as you see, had a pinch hit all year.
But he did say that he's been swinging the bat very well in batting practice and swinging well lately. And he feels like, you know, he's close to being where he was last year when he was one of their top run producers. And he has hit very well against Maddux, 10 for 27.
On the corner. 2-1 Atlanta. 2 down, nobody on in the top of the 9th. 1 strike to count to Barry. Craig Biggio kept off the bases entirely. He scored 146 runs this year. Never even reached base. On the foul ball, it is 0-2 now. Larry Dierker got the strong pitched ball game from Kile that he needed. But Maddux has He so often has been up till now at least just a little bit better. 2 strikes to Barry, 2 down in the 9th. Maddux and his catcher not together, it seems.
Well, Barry has seen the best pitches that he will have to hit in this at bat. I mean, you know, he's going to be just off or just on the other edge. He's not going to get anything to hit.
Now, Perez went way out there,
and Barry chased it. But that's the way Maddux pitches. He will, and he's not going to make a mistake inside this late in the ball game, where a home run can beat you or tie you, I should say. There's Leo Mazzoni. He says, "Oh man, I almost had him." Well, he did chase it because that pitch was up and away.
Perez out there again. Right to the second baseman, Graffinino. And the Atlanta Braves have won game 1 despite the great pitching of Kile.
Well, John, there's a reason that the Braves won 101 games and the Astros won 84. I mean, the Braves do whatever they have to do to win. And they got a well-pitched ball game today and the home run from Klesko.
Well, Darryl Kile, I don't know how much better he could have pitched than he did. 2 hits allowed in 7 innings. No hits after the leadoff homer in the second by Klesko. And yet, he lost the game. Greg Maddux, the master, does it again. Shades of the first game of the 1995 World Series when he allowed the slugging Cleveland Indians only 2 hits. In this one, Houston got 7 hits, but just the 1 run, and the big guys, the so-called killer bees, Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell, went 0 for 12, not even reaching base on an error or a walk, not reaching base at all.
Well, that just about tells the story. If you can hold those 3 players down, keep them under wraps, I mean, you have a good chance of beating the Astros.
And Kenny Lofton, Joe, sort of manufactures that first run with his speed. A bloop double, took third on a fly ball, scored on a fly ball. A huge run, as it turns out. And then he had the heads-up play to catch Luis Gonzalez after the ball dropped in, lost in the sun by Blauser. He got Gonzalez into the rundown, and he was thrown out, erasing a rare base runner for the Astros.
Well, that's the way the Braves were winning early in the season. That's when they were touted as being just a great team. Kenny Lofton was getting on base, manufacturing runs, something that the Braves had not been able to do the last few years because they didn't have the speed at the top of their lineup. Now Kenny Lofton says he's healthy again. He went through that spell where he was not running well. He says he's healthy and he's ready to make things happen, and we saw it right away at the beginning of the ball game today.
Ryan Klesko hit what proved to be the game-winning home run. A first-pitch curveball that he walloped into the stands in right field. And Ryan Klesko standing by. Ryan, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, the curveball. Were you expecting a curveball?
No, I wasn't looking curveball, but the type of pitcher, a lot of times he's a great pitcher, and you need to probably try to get ahead and count him because he's got such a good breaking ball late in the count. He throws a get-me-over curveball, and he throws a hard, strikeout curveball. And I was just basically looking for a ball out of the plate and told myself to stay back and basically just do it to where I seen it and then waited back on it and reacted to it. So a lot of guys asked me if I looked curveball. I said no.
Well, it's another reason afterwards he seemed to throw you a lot of fastballs. You were a little late on his fastball today.
Yeah, he was got to get it up there today. He was moving the ball a little bit, and then my third at bat, he threw me some running fastballs, took a little off and ran it away. So he's got a good 4-seamer, 2-seamer, and a backdoor curveball. So, it's just the type of guy where he can get you a couple times, but you got to make him make mistakes. And today he didn't make too many, but just enough for us to win with Greg Maddux.
I was going to ask you a question. Have you ever seen anything like Maddux? I mean, it's just amazing.
There's a lot of guys that try to be like him and pitch cutter, sinker, a bunch of stuff, but there's never anybody like him that I've seen even close.
Ryan, in the first inning, Jeff Bagwell hit a line shot out there to left field, and you looked like you were really battling the sun. How bad was it out there?
It was pretty tough. I had a couple balls hit at me early in I think the first and second inning, and just got to work the sun, and I knew it was going to happen. We had to work out, and I got out there as best I could and just try to shade. I've had a lot of work with when I first came up with Marquise Grissom and Kenny Lofton just helped me with the sun out there.
How big a game was this to win behind Maddux with Kile pitching as well as he did?
Well, with the 5-game series, it's always nice to get out ahead, and you know, we need to get another one tomorrow, so put us out ahead to go to Houston, so we just have to win one down there.
All right. Well, Ryan Klesko, the game-winning home run. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Ryan Klesko. Our thanks to Ryan for staying out with us, and the Braves on the Klesko homer and the 9-inning masterpiece by Greg Maddux have gone one up with a 2-1 victory. Now, coming up later, the Giants and the Marlins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Now, John Miller for Joe Morgan and Kevin Kennedy. Thanks for joining us from Atlanta. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now, back to Gary Miller in our baseball studios.